Hello and welcome to 360 Gamercast, episode 204 for Tuesday, the 23rd of April 2024. I'm your host, Mark Webb, Gamertag, Pearson ID, Steam ID, Webby360G, and joining me this evening is...
It's Graham, or G Hammocks 14, as everybody knows me.
And me, Sensei Switch. Darren's voice is very high-pitched again, isn't it, for the intros? Oh, dearie me, Darren. Darren's voice will be back to normal in about 10-15 minutes' time. In the interim, we have Graham here. Nice to see you back, Graham. Not seen you for a little while.
Yeah.
Been very busy.
It's been crazy, actually. But managed to get quite a bit of gaming in as well, so not too bad.
That's good to hear. Now, I did mention this last week, where obviously you weren't on last week. I was trying to discuss some of the Fallout TV show with the guys, with Nick and Darren, and they hadn't seen it because, you know, they're Noobensteins, but you've seen most of it now.
I've seen sort of 6 or 7 episodes, I think.
Well, you're nearly there then, because it's only an 8-episode series.
Is it?
So how are you enjoying it?
I actually have no problem at all recommending this to people who probably haven't even played the game, because I think it's pretty well written, it's well directed, and it sort of doesn't rely on you to know the world too much to explain the story. And I think pretty much anyone could just pick this up, have a watch of it, and get something out of it. I think it's sort of
I'll definitely say it's even a good show for people that don't game. You know,
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, I was chatting to my landlord, who's not a gamer, and I was chatting to him about it, and he's like, oh, "That sounds quite interesting. I might watch that." So,
nice.
You know, I think it's a premise that a lot of people can enjoy, whether or not they've played the games or whether they even know what the games are, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that whole post-apocalyptic thing, it's its own story. Obviously, it's got a lot of references to the games, but...
Yeah, there are the odd Easter eggs in there.
Yeah. But no, I think it's done really well, because it goes into why the nukes got dropped and some of the backstory, which I thought was really interesting as well.
Yeah.
So I quite like that. And since the show's been out, the Fallout games have been the top-selling games.
Yeah, they're on the front page on the Xbox.
Yeah, and the PlayStation, and on Steam as well.
Yeah, they certainly are. And I think I owned Fallout 76, so I re-downloaded it for an afternoon. I have to say, I sort of like the games, but I'm not a sort of super fan like some people.
Yeah. No, I'm the same. I mean, I downloaded Fallout Vegas for the Steam Deck, because obviously it's such an old game now, I'll probably look all right on the little screen, and actually holds up all right on the little screen. But I think if you're playing on a big telly, it'd look a bit ugly. It's decent. I wouldn't say, oh my God, it's the best game ever, because it's dated. You know what I mean? And then I played a little bit of 76 yesterday, and that still looks decent. But I started again and got out of the vault, and I was in this wide open world, and I was like, I don't really know what to do now. What's going on? Because it's meant to be like an MMO, but it's not.
Yes.
So, I mean, I've not played it enough to really judge it, to be honest, but I'll probably give it another bish bash bosh, because there's a few others playing it. But I mean, Fallout game wise, my favourite is 3.
Yeah.
Because I mean, probably now I wouldn't be able to play it now because it probably looks really ugly, but I just remember at the time just really enjoying the actual game itself. and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
DLCs as well. Remember there being a UFO DLC, which I really enjoyed.
yeah,
I remember getting every single achievement on that on the 360.
yeah,
And obviously Vegas I enjoyed on the 360, and then Fallout 4 was okay, but for me it was one of the weaker ones just because I didn't like all that building crap.
yeah. I know what you mean.
But
They
it's
did
still
sort
a
of try and
decent
add in
game.
the face of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I think I saw was it on the PlayStation Store. Fallout 4 is like was it £3.99, £4?
But can't you only stream it though because it's a PS3 game?
I don't know. No, I think it's a download, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, double check because I'm pretty
Uh,
sure I read somewhere that the because PS3 games are streaming only. I think you can only stream it.
Right. Well, when you click on it, it says it's a PS4 game.
Ah, okay.
So maybe you do download it. I don't
Oh yeah.
know. I honestly.
Hmm. So apparently Fallout 4 is getting
Anyway,
a next gen upgrade in the next week.
yes, I saw this. Yes, which I saw the specs for, and I thought it was a little bit underwhelming actually,
Right.
because they're saying it could support up to 60 frames a second, and I'm like, for a more than 10-year-old game, you thought they'd be able to get it a bit better than that, but I
Uh,
suppose it is what it is. I suppose there are limitations to the base software,
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But no, I mean, it's cool to
I
see
mean,
the interest in them again, I guess. But the one thing it has done though is there was a fan made mod for Fallout 4 that's been in development for years called Fallout
yeah,
London,
right,
and it's meant to be massive, and they've had to indefinitely delay this mod because of this update that Bethesda are doing because it's changing the
right.
engine or something somehow. So that's a bit sad.
Oh, that is a shame.
Yeah.
But no,
Um,
it's definitely the series is definitely worth a look.
oh yeah, 100%, mate. I think they're good. I still prefer the Elder Scrolls because I prefer the lush green worlds. In
Yeah,
contrast to the post-apocalyptic wasteland. But I think for the time that the Fallout games were popular, they were kind of they were different because they were a little bit ahead of their time. You know what I mean? You could interact with most things, carry loads of stuff. There
yeah,
was loads of different ways to do your missions. Like I had one on Vegas, or I had to get some specific materials, and to buy them from this vendor was really expensive. So I crouched down
yeah.
behind them and pickpocketed them and stole their key for their locker. And then I used the key to get in the locker and had all their wares in it. So I just stole the items I required. So it was just quite
Nice.
cool to have that freedom,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But because they've done that in so many games now, it's kind of like, well, it all becomes a little bit samey after 3 or 4 games of doing that. Uh,
Yeah,
so I don't know, man. Yeah, but
but
no,
we'll
great,
see.
great
We'll see. I
games.
mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, there is talk of Fallout 5 being in development, isn't there?
yeah, but
Or there are rumours.
the new Elder Scrolls will be out before that, and that's not out for years yet, is it? So
Yeah, it's
be
going to be
waiting
a
a
while.
while.
They're saying.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'd say don't hold your breath.
yeah. Fair dues.
Yeah, cool, cool.
So have you been playing anything decent while you've been away?
I have. I've picked up. I've been trawling the game shelves, and last week I picked up a copy of Street Fighter 6.
Oh,
Um, It was on sale in game for £20.
That's cheap for game. Does game still exist? I think they're only in Sports
It's
Directs
still
now,
in,
aren't they?
pretty much. This one did happen to be in a Sports Direct. So I was in there, and this is one that would drive Darren mad. But it's like the one in the sort of tin. But it's the sort of it's the base game, and they also had an offer on controllers. So I bought a second controller just in preparation for the next time I have any friends over for 2-player. But this game is. It sort of reminds me a little bit of the situation with like Gran Turismo Sport on the PS4. Because I remember back in the day, Street Fighter 5, when it launched on PS4, didn't have a lot in it, did it?
No, it didn't. No.
And Street Fighter 6 has got loads of stuff in it. It has, obviously, it's got your arcade modes, your online modes, your challenges, your sparring, your training. I mean, I'm not the world's best fighting game player, to be honest with you. I sort of like to have a dip in. If friends come over, we have a few beers on the go and we sort of, have a couple of matches sort of thing. But it has this new mode in it, which is called World Tour. I don't know if you've seen this.
Yeah, I played it, yeah.
Yeah, I quite like it because it's sort of it's a bit different. It's a bit wacky. It almost reminds me of was it back in the day? It reminds me a little bit of that like Tekken Force mode. Sort of like free roaming. It's a bit more sort of open world-ish, but you can kind of walk the streets and go into shops and buy upgrades and find power-ups hidden on rooftops and sort of challenge random people on the street to sort of a sparring match. And occasionally you'll sort of come up against one of your characters who's sort of one of your grandmasters, which is sort of somebody from the roster. And you can sort of have a match against them and try and basically capture their sort of special move for your user-generated character, which you can then sort of use in the arcade mode as well, But yeah, it's got loads going on really, and I thought for £20 it was sort of it was worth a punt. But yeah, it might be worth if anybody's been waiting for a price drop on it. Go and have a look in game at the minute if you can find one.
Yeah, there's one near me, but in a Sports Direct, but quite small.
They're a shadow of their former selves, aren't they?
It's got more cuddly toys and board games and fucking video games in it now,
Yeah.
So it's quite sad to see where a game has gone, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think the sad fact of the matter is places like Curry's and Argos now sort of are stronger for games now, which I never thought would be the case.
Yeah, I mean, it made me sad when they stopped selling video games in the supermarkets.
Yeah, I used to quite like that.
Because they were quite good prices a lot of the time,
Yeah, well, they'd sort of in the supermarket, they might have like a selection of 6, but they would all be at sort of a pretty reasonable price,
Yeah.
But
which isn't
yeah,
the case
so
now. Yeah.
It really isn't. No, and the number of places. I mean, there used to be so many places you could go to get games, but like you say, now it's all your online retailers, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and this has shown my age a little bit. I mean, I remember when I was a teenager, and I lived in quite a small town, and we had a game and a couple of independent game shops. I miss those independents, and then I used to go to Cambridge a lot because I didn't live far from Cambridge. And there was a game and a game station there as well. And game station was great. And then obviously it all fucking went downhill when Game bought out game stations. And then, they swallowed them up closed the game station stores eventually, kept game, and then they just made sure that all their games were full RRP. So you never fucking went in there to buy anything because you'd
No.
always get that game like 10 or 20 quid cheaper in a supermarket or as you say, online. But I think I talked about my struggles a couple of months ago when I was looking for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I
Yep.
wanted to just go into a shop and get it, and there wasn't anywhere I could get it. So I had to order it online
No.
and rely on the post. And the reason I didn't want to do that is because, like everything else in this country, the Royal Mail's just gone. It's gone to shit. So I didn't trust them to get it to me for launch. But luckily they did.
No.
But go back even 5 years. You could quite easily just get up in the morning and just go to a supermarket at least and pick up your game. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. I mean, even back in like the days of the PlayStation 1, you even had places like Toys R Us.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, they used to be absolute godsend for games.
I mean, I remember
You could
buying
just
my
walk.
PS2 at launch from Woolworths.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's another shop I miss.
I know I miss old Woolies and the penny sweets, but I don't know. Like gaming's just gone. Like even though we're all online, and it just feels less so social to me now in a weird way because
Yeah.
I look back to the 360 era as the golden age for me personally, and it was a golden age for
Yeah.
online gaming anyway. But you still had that physical aspect. Like I went to loads of midnight launch events at games. Like I remember
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
Halo. I think it was Halo 3. At launch and
Yeah.
Halo Reach and queuing up outside and just chatting to the other nerds. And it just you don't get that anymore, man.
No.
So I mean,
No,
online
you
is
don't.
good for the online gaming, but the other social aspect is it's been destroyed.
Yeah, people don't go and party chat as much either.
No.
Sorry, not party
No.
chat, game chat. I mean, they're mainly in party chats rather than in games. So you're
Yeah,
not really meeting people either.
no, and yeah, because I was been playing some Graw 2 the other day, and I remember back on the 360 days, everyone would be in game chat for Graw 2. You'd join a lobby, everyone would just be chatting, and it wasn't like COD where everyone was swearing at each other. It was actually quite mature discussions
Yeah.
and stuff, and and it was quite good. But yeah, you're 100% right there, Darren. Like less people go in game chat, but also I find less people are inclined to even join a party chat these days. Like I see people gaming on my friends list, and I invite them to a party, and 9 times out of 10 they don't fucking join.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the only real exception, and I think a lot of people have already said this, the only real exception I feel at the minute is games like Helldivers, where
Yeah,
a lot of people are quite a bit more social. And I've had so many games on Helldivers where people are chatting and, offering advice and go over here and pick. Do you know what I mean? There's a
yeah,
lot
that's
more
good.
sort of. I think it's because it's mainly it's sort of co-op, isn't it? Really,
Yeah, yeah.
And you don't
and I think
want
that
people to run into your stratagems, basically, do you?
yeah,
No.
yeah, you don't want them to cock your mission up halfway through.
Yeah. So perhaps it's the games themselves as well have become less social because I do feel that the last couple of gens of consoles have had a lot less co-op games than the 360
Yeah,
days.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
So perhaps that's another reason for it.
Yeah, it either now seems to be multiplayer, like free to play multiplayer, or like single player. Like there isn't really co-op per se. You'll get like one or two a year, but
Yeah.
back in the day, you'd get
Yeah.
one or two a month.
Yeah. And the ones that come out now are just not very good. I mean, there's been a few exceptions, but You know.
I think it's mainly due to the fact that publishers don't really want to put out co-op games because they can't really monetize them
No, it's sad, isn't it?
as much, and they're just after monetization now. That's literally it.
Yeah. Fortnite has ruined gaming for everybody. You know, they all want to sell all their skins and shit, the companies now, don't they? You know?
But they still aren't clued up enough to know that the people that are actually like all in on Fortnite, they're not going to come off Fortnite to go to something else because they've got 4 or 5 years of shit they've put in to Fortnite.
Yeah.
So all of these people that are chasing kind of that trend aren't realising that people are already entrenched in another system.
Yeah.
Per se. I mean, we saw it with the huge MMO thing that went on like about 4 or 5 years ago, where everyone was trying to bring out MMOs, and obviously only a few of them can actually sit on top of the pile.
Yeah.
And the rest of them just kind of languish and slowly disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which will then put off more people going into MMOs because it's like, well, am I going to pick a good one that's going to survive, or am I going to put loads of time in and within a year or two it's dead?
To listen to the rest of this week's awesome episode, you need to subscribe to the Patreon. So head on over to patreon.com/360gamercast. Join there from as little as £5 a month and get an episode every single week of the year, including loads of super special episodes. And you will get access to the rest of this week's episode, which is now over an hour and a half long, where we talk about Botany Manor, Final Fantasy, New Vegas, Genesis Noir, Balatro, Call of Duty, Helldivers, Dave the Diver, and loads more. So again, subscribe at patreon.com/360gamercast.